What you'll see here in just a minute is a conversation I had with Chris Lovell, who is the former owner of Strings and Things, and Chris is I've gotten to know him a little over the last few years, and he's set up quite a number of guitars for me. But in this particular conversation, he and I were talking about a Strings and Things Bluesmaster IV. It's called. It's right here that I purchased, and Strings and Things, if you don't know, was a big music store back in the day when you had kind of locally owned music stores, and so they started selling their own brand of guitars, and I got real interested over the years, and the guitar played so well and sounds so great that I had to ask him about it. So I decided to take a trip up there to Memphis to visit with him. So what you'll see is parts of our conversation as well as some other information that I put together. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Right on.
We on?
Yeah, we are on. So,
Well-
so you were telling me about how you got at the body shape for this. Can you?
Right, we were talking about how at the time fenders weren't hot, and there was a lot of Telecasters around, a lot of Strats around. People didn't necessarily want them. They all wanted Gibsons. We decided we were going to make a fender that looked like a Gibson, and what was born out of that was the Tele Paul.
We called it a great name, man.
Tele Paul for years, and I say for years, for about 5 years, and the first ones were handmade, and then we got into more of a production thing because we discovered a guy named Mr. Shibuya in Tokyo, who had a custom workshop in Tokyo building guitars and things.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they became ESP,
Okay.
which at the beginning was just a parts company. They didn't make guitars at all.
Okay. Is that where you got the parts for these?
Yeah, a lot of the things that we did used Shibuya parts, which were ESP, which were all Japanese. And Mr. Shibuya couldn't speak any English at all, so we communicated through the terminology of vintage guitars, guitar shapes, 60s Strat neck,
Right.
50s V neck. They understood and knew all that, and he understood and knew all that. But he was a vintage guitar nut at the time. In fact, half the way we financed half this project was with vintage guitars that we would let him hold while we owed him money.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, he was glad to hold it. He was hoping we never paid it. He never got any of those guitars though. He had my pink Strat, my '63 pink Strat for a little while, but I got that back.
that back. Yep.
So people really dug this body style. In fact, they went nuts over this body style. To make a longer story short, this became St. Blues, and this body style was the reason that we had all the success we had. We could show this body to almost any star backstage that we could get backstage to, and they went nuts over the body style.
Yeah, it's very comfortable.
Yeah, I don't care if it was Joe Walsh or Eric Clapton or Billy Squier. We never paid anybody a dime to be an endorsee. The most we ever did was give them a guitar built the way they wanted, or maybe two if you were Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
In fact, when he got his guitars ready, his comment to me was, "What do I owe you?"
Yeah.
And I thought that was really telling of what character Eric Clapton had.
Right.
In fact, the first time I ever met him, he introduced himself to me.
Huh.
Eric Clapton here.
Yeah.
I
That's
thought,
cool.
dude, I know who you are.
Yeah.
You don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I need to tell you my name.
So, what's the wood on this? I love the way the what do you call it, the book match or
Yes,
whatever
this is
on
going to
that?
be an Asian ash body,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be a flame maple veneer top.
Okay. So this is it's
Just really similar to what to where the Les Paul was, but more like a flat top, more like a junior.
so this is serial number is 189. So what do you think that would?
You know, I don't really know. All I know is there was a handful of probably this guitar with this configuration.
Mm-hmm.
Probably no more than 50 in all the years that we made them.
Right.
This was a new thing. Mr. Shibuya had developed these pickups, and he really had done a great job. We had never heard a humbucker that you could split. And then to this day, I don't know of a humbucker you can split that sounds any good.
Yeah.
How to make a humbucker sound bad? Split it.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you, I think the pickups on these are as good as any I've ever heard, and the tonal differences between this guitar covers a lot of ground.
Right.
You know, I always thought that
Yeah.
the strap was like the Swiss Army knife, right? You
right.
get a whole lot of sound.
This kind of comes at it from the other way, from
right.
the humbucker
Yeah.
back to the single coil, than from a single coil to try to get
Yeah.
it to sound like a humbucker.
It just covers. I mean, it sounds great, clean, and when you split the coils, it sounds great.
Right. Useful sounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. Well, Mr. Shibuya, whether he knows it or not, was really an innovative genius in so many ways, but he didn't know it. He didn't know what to do with his stuff. In fact, ESP, like I said, was a parts company. We said, hey, why don't you put your parts together and become a guitar company? And you look at the brand name ESP, it's a big brand. It's a high quality brand, it's a high price brand, and no one dogs the brand name ESP.
Right.
LTD is their cheaper brand that Mr. Shibuya owns, and even those are decent $300, $400, $500 guitars. The actual ESP brand now is $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 and up. In fact, they have a new brand called EC2, which is their ESP's highest end of about $2,500 and up.
Dang.
And they are fantastic. So he look what he went on to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he owns a good deal of the guitar market right now. He owns ESP, he owns LTD.
Yeah.
Guess what Mr. Shibuya also owns? Schecter.
Yeah.
He bought Schecter because ESP was so hot, he couldn't supply enough. So he had to go buy another company. Well, Schecter was very ESP-ish in their guitar making.
So on these pickups, like with as far as the windings go, are they lots of windings?
I would say
less,
no.
or
They're
in
not.
the middle,
no,
or what?
because whenever you overwind a humbucker, you end up with mud, and Larry DiMarzio proved that. You know, because he made so many muddy humbuckers for I guess heavy metal thrashers and stuff, and they were kind of toneless. You can only wind a humbucker so far before you've wound it too far.
Okay.
Right, I would say a Pearly Gates Seymour Duncan is a good example of a hot humbucker that's not wound too far.
Okay.
It's hot enough to overdrive that amp big time and get all kind of good overdriven tone, but it doesn't, the more you wind it, you're losing high end. But as you wind, you lose high end, you gain bass, and you gain mid. Right, so look at Fender. If you don't stop winding at a point, there's no way to get a Fender sound out of a Fender pickup. Keep winding that pickup, you're gonna have a P90.
Right. Okay.
So he just knew the right combination of magnet and windings.
Okay.
And I guess, quite honestly, could have gone on and made a living doing this himself alone, but probably got preoccupied with just making guitars in general. So ESP is an innovator. They're not a follower.
Right.
They're an innovator of guitars. And when you figure you can sell guitars in the $2,000 and $3,000 price range that are production guitars,
that's doing all right.
That's quality.
Yeah.
That's quality.
So what would y'all have done? So you would have gotten the body, bought all the parts from him, and then
Sometimes different places. Parts here, parts there. Sometimes we would do the Clusons direct. Sometimes we would do it through Mr. Shibuya, depending on what he had.
Right.
And
like all the I don't know if you
we would do most of the finish
the
work.
dyeing,
because that's one thing
or whatever
they
on
can't do is get these colors right. Even Gibson couldn't get colors right. Ask for a cherry sunburst, boy, you get yellow to red. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
This is a color that's supposed to have started out yellow and red, and faded and faded and faded to that.
Okay. Now,
This was just faded
color.
sunburst Les Pauls. But this became the look of almost everything. Really, is this flame top faded sunburst?
Yeah.
That's all back to an early Gibson 59 or 60 Les Paul sunburst.
I just love the color of this.
So in most ways, as most of these guitars, it's a simple guitar.
Right.
The only thing complex about this guitar is the electronics, and they're not even complex.
Yeah.
They just work.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many knobs you got
That's what I was,
for all them tones, So we never were. It kind of reminded me of rock and roll back then. It's like when Kiss came along. It's like, what is this about? Why we got to wear all that? Why we got to be raining sparkly stuff? And after one show, I knew why. Because they aren't very good. You take that crap away, you unmask them, and take the glitter away, and just get out there in a t-shirt and some jeans, have to do a show. Good luck.
Yeah.
So kind of, to me, that was like what was happening in guitars. Flash, right? Red finishes. You don't even know what the wood is. People weren't even asking.
Yeah.
Is it mahogany? Is it maple? They don't care. They don't even know. right? Things were becoming flash oriented, Floyd Rose oriented, rather than smooth and vintage and simple oriented. Kind of the same turn that rock took.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting to me that I'd never really thought about, and we were talking about, I think, the bridge on this guitar, and you said, back when this was made, that the wood plays into the tone, that once the high mass bridges came along,
it didn't matter.
You're right, that the wood...
It could have been injector molded goo.
Right. And so...
didn't matter. You're right. But it always mattered before.
Right.
In Gibsons, SGs sound the way they sound because it's a thin, all mahogany guitar.
Yeah.
That's why it sounds like it sounds. I don't care what pickups you put on it, you're not going to escape that.
Right.
Les Paul sound like they sound because they had this hard maple top. That's what did it. Junior sound like they sound because they didn't have that hard maple top. But the maple top on the standard with the humbuckers, man.
What's underneath what's the body?
Mahogany.
Mahogany.
Okay. It's a Junior.
Yeah.
It's a Les Paul Junior with a cap on it. But that metal cap, see, Les Paul knew what he was doing. He wasn't trying to make something that looked like a violin and made it look pretty. He knew that if you made the whole guitar out of maple, it would be too heavy.
Right.
But if you didn't put the maple cap on it, he wouldn't get sustain. Les Paul was huge on sustain, even though he used no overdrive.
Yeah.
Right? He just wanted body sustain. Sustain you could get unplugged. Right? Yeah. And he found he had to have some body mass to do that with.
So he capped it.
Yeah, so he capped it. And quite honestly, it wasn't a big success in its day. The Les Paul was not a hot seller.
Well,
it was expensive.
Isn't that why they were discontinued? Or was that for sales? Do you know? In
when they were
61, whatever
that would have been the Les Paul standard would have been from 57, 8, 9, and 60.
Right.
They switched to SGs in probably late 60, 61, and they
the
became an entirely
Les Paul.
different guitar.
Yeah.
But they said Les Paul right there on them.
Yeah. Right.
Just SGs all the way around. And people, they didn't. Here's what happened: is that anybody that was a star was playing a Les Paul on stage, and they didn't make them.
Yeah.
Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Joe Walsh, James Gang, everybody, Les Paul standard, no less. Les Paul standard, cherry sunburst most of the time, flame top, right?
Yeah.
You go to your local music store.
I want one of those. Yeah,
They
there are none.
They don't have Les Pauls.
Yeah.
Well, where are they getting them? Well, I guess they're buying them used in pawn shops or whatever, and that's exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, isn't that what y'all did too? Would kind of hit the pawn
Exactly.
shops?
Oh yeah. That was our supplier for probably 2 years.
Yeah.
A lot of new accessories and as much used gear as we could round up out of the pawn shops and refurb and make it play and string it up and get it going and sell it.
Didn't you say that you kind of worked out of your home or
at
before
first,
you bought the store?
Until the wives went nuts and said, "This is nuts. These people are in and out of here all the time. The living room's full of gear."
Yeah.
And so I think my boss at Amro got wind that we were doing this and asked me about it, and I was honest with him. I said, "Well, I think I'm gonna start my own store." I'm sure they were glad to hear that. I was so young and stupid that I told them that. And they thought, "Yeah, that's a great idea."
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Slit your throat right now. Yeah, I got fired within moments.
So much
I
for
kind of
being
got forced
honest.
into starting a music store. I didn't have any jobs out of a job.
So what's on the neck with this? So you can talk to me a little bit about obviously maple neck, but like it's got the fatter neck. What kind of the frets and
First thing is you can see this. It's one piece, and that the truss rod is dropped in from the back. That's what this skunk stripe is.
Okay.
It's a way to drop the truss rod in
I got
there
you.
when your fretboard is your neck.
I got you.
Follow me?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, this is kind of this is the hard V-neck to me. Now, it's not super hard, because I felt harder. But that's a backbone, what we call a backbone right there. You can feel it. If you ask me, the V-neck is ergonomically correct.
Yeah.
My hand falls right around a V-neck. Some people, you hand them a V-neck or a super V-neck, like on an old Strat or something, they're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
They hate it.
Yeah.
I don't. I like it, man.
Until I
like
got
it a
this
lot.
guitar, yeah, I hadn't played very many, and it was not my preferred style. The action on this and the way that you set it up is just a dream. So
Well,
it's
let me
one
tell you,
of my
also,
favorite guitars to play.
using jumbo frets makes it feel entirely different.
Yeah.
Because the Fender frets, part of the problem with a Fender is you got to pin the string down to bend it. You got to really pin her down
Right.
and start going up because you got that little bit of fret. The higher fret allows you to dip down in between the frets, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got a little bounce right there, right? Now I can pin it real easy in between them fat frets. That's why you want the jumbos, man.
Right.
Not to mention, if they get pitted, you can file them and recrown them and polish them and not replace them.
Yeah.
You can probably do that 2 or 3 times with a jumbo fret without ever replacing it. But see, that's not a normal looking Fender fret at all.
Yeah.
You don't see frets like that on a Fender.
So
But that was the big deal back in the day, man. I took my Strat and we tore all the frets out and put them jumbo frets in that rosewood neck, and I had me a playing guitar, man. Everybody wanted to borrow my guitar. In fact, my guitar got borrowed so many times, I don't know where it is right now. Yeah, everybody wanted, man, can I use your 60s? Because I wasn't gigging, I was running the store. Oh, yeah, okay. Never got it back.
How'd you get that? Was this what kind of neck did this start out as, or did you? How'd you come up with shape on that?
Well, we did a whole line of these guitars that would have had a stock Tele neck.
Okay.
And because everybody was making Strat and Tele necks that were identical, they were identical.
Yeah.
But Fender jumped up and sued everybody.
Yeah.
Sued everybody, and we were the first one they sued because we were small, and they could use us for precedent, which is what they did. Yeah. So we were headed to a trade show, and we couldn't get out of doing the trade show, but we could take them with that headstock, right? So we literally did the Strat one too, had to buzz the bubble off of it, and that was enough.
Yeah.
That's ESP's headstock.
Yeah,
You look at their Strat, they took our headstock.
Yeah.
ESP did.
You know,
He asked, can we use your headstock? I said, I don't care.
it's a really handsome guitar.
It is,
You know,
man.
when
It
just,
is.
front to back, man.
I'm telling you, we would take 2 or 3 backstage and just open them up, and I'm telling you, every time they would boom, just like Looney Tunes, man, my eyes would come out. Make sure the manager ain't around. Can't make any deal with him around.
Right.
He's gonna want
Some money. Yep.
So I took this whole project to Henry Juskowitz in Nashville that owns Gibson.
Oh, okay.
And I took this line to him and I said, wouldn't you think if Gibson had a line that addressed Fender, Saint Blues by Gibson? I said, man, you could tear it up with this guitar right here. You could give Fender a run for their money, and they can't give you a run for the money because they have nothing like a Gibson. And he listened and he took the literature. And what was about 90 days later, they came out with the Nighthawk. Gibson headstock.
Yeah.
Pointy cutaway.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it was birthed out of that flyer I gave him. That's all he, and then offered me a job running his accessory department. I said, I'm not here for a job. I said, I got a job.
Right.
I said, I'm here because you could do something with this.
Yeah.
But he didn't see the light.
Hey, I wanted to pause my talk with Chris and show you a little bit of this Strings and Things custom catalog. I'm assuming this would have been around 1983, based on some of the other information that I'll show you here in a bit. You can see this is the guitar that's real similar to mine. Mine does not have this metal kind of telly piece there. The access is from the back. Calling this the Bluesmaster IV at that point in time. You can see the Eric Clapton model there, all in black. Some of the other offerings, including bass guitars. Really cool stuff. Some really neat tops on these as well. There's the Eric Clapton model, and there it is again. Let's see here. Also interesting, I think this would have been from 1983, as it says, the price list at NOM. So the Clapton model would have come in at $775. Let's see, where's mine? The Bluesmaster, I forget what mine would have been, one of these $595s, I believe. And then lastly, Strings and Things was putting out a little newsletter with some of their, this is from May of 1983. Had Billy Squire and Clapton, Toto, Albert King, 38 Special, Glenn Frey. Pretty interesting stuff. Long before the internet, had to get the word out. There's Tom Keckler, who was the workshop foreman there at Strings and Things. And there's Chris Lovell. Well, this is cool, man. I appreciate the history on this.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Running through it.
We had to back off this whole project because we almost went broke with Strings and Things, trying to pump this national brand. It was going and it was hitting, but we had totally underestimated how much time and money it would take to become a national brand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a regional band.
Yeah.
You may be a big hit regionally.
Right,
That don't
right,
mean nothing when you go national.
Yeah.
You know,
It's-
the budget is 10 times national
Yeah.
than what it is regional.
And you guys were doing nom shows and all that.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, we were full on, man. We had the endorsees. They were all showing at our booth. You know, we looked great, and just
Yeah, but
didn't have the money.
Yeah, didn't you say it was hard to sell a guitar to other music stores that had
But
strings and
that's
things?
why we changed it to St. Blues. They were like, they come pat us on the back. Y'all doing a great job, but we ain't selling them.
Yeah.
And when I thought about it for 2 seconds, I was like,
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
use
either,
either, man.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking. What am I doing at this
Yeah.
show with this name? You know, got to come up with a new name, and that's when the Saint is Strings and Things.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Strings
a
and
great.
Things Blues. So,
Yeah.
and that brand got going.
And then kind of just to show you how things evolved. This was the St. Blues line after, I guess after they got sued. They changed it to that, as Chris mentions in the video. Pretty cool guitars. This must have been after the ZZ Top album with the Eliminator. Got a Kaler on it. Interesting catalog. The Excalibur. Some really pretty finishes on that. Kind of an alpine white, but almost opaque. Let's see. And here's some of the endorsees as well. Folks that are playing that. And I think lastly is another one of these newsletters. This is the St. Blues. It says Volume 3, Number 1 of 85. There's Billy Gibbons playing one of the Eliminators. Elliot Easton from the Cars. Pretty neat. So once again, here's some of the price list. So even Bo Diddley, check it out.
But I told him, I walked away from him and said, man, I cannot do this with you. I said, you are where art meets money and art dies.
Yeah, that's
So typical, of. He didn't even understand what I said. Look out, man, money replaces your soul. Thank God I was a hippie because I never got off of that. You know, of materialism and all this, the shame in materialism, right? Or outfits that match or crap like that. You know, hippies, hairdos, no. Show up with some matching outfit, no, man, I'm not getting on stage with you. Man, it's almost the reverse is what you're supposed to wear. You know, something that don't match.
Absolutely,
And real sanitized. Hey, you know, that's amazing how good this strap is.
I know, I picked it out just for this guitar.
I know, it's incredible.
It's beautiful.
I guess this is so orangey, and orange is what the complementary color to blue.
I did not know that, see?
That's where that color comes in and goes so well with it.
My wife's an art major, and I was playing this one day, and she walked in, and she goes, "That looks really good." So that must be why. Just finally, just wanted to give a little up close video of my guitar. You can see this is a really beautiful kind of orange. So you know, this is what I was saying about the there's none of that typical Tele piece that's right there. Got the jumbo frets on it. Has the Strings and Things Custom. See, we'll flip it over here and show the back side. if I can do this. Let's see, that's a serial number. 189. Just a really beautiful orange kind of color. I was interested to hear him say that it did not start out that way. It's aged really well. Got that skunk stripe down the back. He was saying, I did not know that's how the truss rod is inserted when you have a maple neck, because you can't put it in the front like you could if you had a rosewood neck. So just a beautiful guitar. I'm proud to own it.
Well, I tell you, we could have done anything we wanted to do with this if we'd have had the money.
Yeah.
But as it is so many times, it's almost like the cook that knows how to cook a great meal, but they don't know how to run
Can't
the
run a
books.
restaurant. Yeah.
It's like somebody was on TV the other day and it was an ad or something, and it was this little black gal and she was starting her own business. She says, I got this business thing down except for that business part. That's what I told somebody the other day. I said, man, you go in business, you gotta be two things. You gotta be an expert in your field.
Right.
But you gotta be a business person. You gotta know what a profit and loss is, a balance sheet, expenses, overhead. You gotta have them numbers. You know, people put numbers together for the government.
Yeah.
They don't need a number. You're the one that needs the dang numbers.
Yeah.
That's your latitude and longitude. You don't know where you are. I told this guy I was talking to him. He says, well, I can change my inventory figure and it'll make me look any way I want to look. You know, I'm talking about to the bank.
Yeah.
Like, well, how about how you really look?
Yeah, how do
Are
you really look?
concerned of where you're really at? You're so busy playing games with the bank, you probably don't even know what you got.
Yeah.
I said, it's kind of important.
It
You need to
is.
keep books for you, not for the dang government. You know, so that's what I learned. I knew everything about music, but the numbers, they annoyed me.
Yeah.
I knew how to make a profit now. I was bound and determined not to waste my time on a deal and not make something. You know, I did have retail blood.
Right.
Right, I definitely had retail blood. But the rest of it, overhead and all that, it's just, it's one of the things you have to do. You have
Somebody's got to do
Somebody
it.
it needs to be you,
Yeah.
the dang owner. I hired too many bookkeepers who were going to do it for me. Oh, they did it for me, all right. Half of them ran off with money.
Yeah.
Once they know more about your books than you do,
Yeah, they can hide it.
you're in trouble. I had Memphis State offer me a free, we'll come in and inspect your bookkeeping thing for free, you know, like the senior students.
Right.
I said, heck yeah. And they came in and they go, oh, man, you're doing this thing all wrong.
This is a mess.
What do you, he says, first thing you're doing, he says, you're giving the bookkeepers some money. You don't give bookkeepers some money. You give them a report about the money. You don't give them the money. Here's the money. Here's all the cash rolls. 5 cash rolls come in and get it, but we don't know what's in them. Oh, yeah.
I'll count it for you.
Yeah. So that's that one thing we changed. Bookkeepers didn't get the money no more.
Yeah.
Somebody else counted the money in my office, and they got a report. That's all they need is a report. If they're generating a report, they can make it say anything they want to.
Yeah.
Some people don't even mean to finagle. If you leave it open enough, they just get a little desperate. People need a little money. Phew.
Yeah. I could
Hanging on to
just take a little off the top.
If you had all the gear that ever been stolen from me of strings and things, Pilot Union Avenue, you couldn't fly an airplane over it now. I guarantee it would be tonnage. It's just part of the deal. People are worried about the customer stealing. It ain't the customer stealing.
It's the employee.
It's your employee.
Yeah.